Okay, so again, thank you everyone for joining us for the 2022 IJ Action May General Meeting. It's good to see everyone here in attendance. We ask that folks keep those comments coming, keep it lit. Good to see everyone out today, and I'm gonna do a brief review of our agenda so you see what we have going tonight. So we're gonna have some membership announcements. We're gonna talk about our new official members, the status of new member orientation, as well as our donations and things like that. Then we're going to go ahead and give some committee updates so folks can see what's going on behind the scenes and how all of your amazing time contributions is working out. And then we'll get into our main program. And our main program tonight is going to center on ACA 4, what happened at the Elections Committee, as well as some updates about things that will be taking place here soon with ACA 4. And we'll talk about our policy platform. So I know a lot of folks have been waiting to see our IJ Action policy platform so you can see what the organization was founded on, as well as our tenets and the legislative goals that we plan to move forward in the future. This will cover a broad spectrum of action items, as well as policy ideals and things where we plan to focus our efforts. And just show, what IJ Action is truly about. So we're going to be diving into that overview of it, and we'll finish off with some calls to action. And of course, we always open the floor for questions and comments. So that'll be, what our agenda looks like tonight. And then finally, we'll end it with a closing from myself. So it should be a good night for folks in the audience and IJ Action members in general. It's going to be a lot of progress. So with that, I believe we'll share the presentation. And let me see, I don't know. Okay, it's already shared, sorry. I was on the wrong screen. Okay, yeah, so we're going to get into some May member announcements. And for our official new members for May, we have Nichelle R, we have Amber P, we have Daniela M, and we have Craig F. And we just want to clap everybody up. And thanks, folks, for taking that step and choosing membership and filling out the membership application, and for being a part of what we have going on here at IJ Action. And with that, we'll get into some next steps on how to become a member, and also to dive into our membership structure here at IJ Action. So at IJ Action, we have two forms of membership. As some folks know, on the right-hand side, we have represented our supportive membership. And supportive members are folks who've completed their membership application, they've paid annual member dues, and they agreed to participate in meetings and committees, support committees whenever possible. On the left side, we have represented our active membership structure. And for active members have completed their application and paid annual dues. They complete new member orientation. They commit to attending monthly general meetings, sign up for at least one committee, and they sign our membership pledge. So, of course, active membership is what folks who are most actively involved choose. Again, we understand it's a time commitment. We understand that it's a question of schedule. So if supportive membership is better for you at this time, then it's understandable. If active membership is better, then that's fine. Either way, we appreciate the support, as well as folks who are dedicated to this movement. So thank you all. And we ask that folks who aren't current members on the call choose membership, and we'll be dropping those links in the chat here shortly. And so I'll continue on with our May committee updates. And I'm the chair of Membership and Outreach Committee, so I'll go ahead and give that update for folks. And so the Membership and Outreach Committee is responsible for community organizing, outreach, training, and recruiting new members to IJ Action. And our updates for this month is the committee has focused its efforts on recruiting new members, supporting ACA 4 policy campaigns, and scheduling civic engagement presentations. So as you all know, we have an imprint on following up with Prop 17 and making sure that folks who have their rights restored know that they have rights restored if they choose to vote, that they make a plan to vote, and also too that we give them resources to get registered and follow through with that. So that's where our imprint is at, and that's what we're working on right now. And with that, I'll go ahead and pass it to one of my colleagues from the Communications and Fundraising Committee.
Happy to start us off, then turn it over to Emiliano. So we're the Communications and Fundraising Committee. We meet the first Thursday of each month at 6:30. Work on everything from helping boost the work that IJ Action is doing, fighting for ACA4, fighting for abolition, and assisting with our grassroots fundraising. Our big item right now, which we'll talk about later in the agenda too, is planning around our Juneteenth event and formal release of our policy agenda. So thank you all for attending our meetings and helping us with planning for it, with activities, helping create a title for the event, and so much more. Yeah, I'll turn it over to Emiliano.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. My name is Emiliano. My pronouns are he and him. Yeah, the only thing I have to add is, be on the lookout for a doodle poll from the group so we can figure out a new time to meet consistently if the first Thursday of the month doesn't work for folks. So just be on the lookout for that email from either Shervin or myself, and we look forward to next month. And I'll pass it back to Jay.
Thank you for that. Yeah, so appreciate the committee updates. And again, we just want to, always give those updates so that way members can see what's taking place in these committees, and also too as a reminder for folks to be able to get involved and plug in with the things that we have going on so we can support our legislative progress as well as other outreach and similar efforts. So with that, we're going to go into the next portion of our agenda and get into our main presentation. So I'll pass it over to Taina to give us the next update.
Thanks, Jane. Thanks everybody on the team. I'm so excited to be able to present the first part of our main presentation, which is an update on ACA4. I know that y'all are probably on our email list. So you probably got the emails and saw everything on social media, but we're going to talk about it in a little bit more detail. But on April 19th, ACA4 and our companion bill, AB 1595, both passed the Assembly Elections Committee with a 6-2 vote. So yay, claps, snaps for that. This is the first step in a long process that we have to make it out of the legislature. So again, first step is Assembly Elections Committee, Assembly Appropriations Committee, Assembly floor, and then Senate Elections Committee, Senate Appropriations Committee, and then Senate floor. Because it's an ACA, it does not need to be signed by the governor. So we just need to make it out of the Assembly or out of the legislature, excuse me, with 2/3 support. So shout out to everybody who made it there that day. Several of y'all are here. Of course, in addition to our staff, folks like Yolanda, Stephanie, Roberto were there. Adriana provided incredible testimony during the hearing. And I really do want to uplift Adriana. If y'all didn't watch the hearing, not only was her testimony incredible, but she faced a lot of disrespect from some of the opponents and held it with a lot of grace. So shout out to Adriana for using your voice and helping us move through an important step of this process. But overall, we estimate that more than 100 advocates showed up in person. So after, testimony, we had lines and lines of people coming in and out of the room. The sergeant at arms had to facilitate it, letting people go through, escorting them out, letting new people in the room to come up to the mic and say that they support restoring voting rights for people in prison. So we definitely made a humongous impact. There was nobody who showed up to give Me Too's in opposition, and only one member of an organization who spoke in opposition to give testimony. She was part of an organization that honestly opposes everything in that committee and didn't even file an official letter. So we have no registered opposition at this time. So that is really exciting news. And then after we made it out of the hearing, ourselves with our coalition partners, including the ACLU, League of Women Voters, Ella Baker Center, California Black Power Network, Anti-Recidivism Coalition, and Initiate Justice on the C3 side, all came together, divided up into 9 different lobby teams, and we visited 36 legislative offices. So we were rolling deep in the halls of the Capitol that day, and made sure that our voices were heard. So these are just a couple of photos to highlight from the day, but honestly, it was like such an incredible, powerful, moving day. We know that we'll probably be planning another such lobby day before we make it to the assembly floor. So definitely, stay in touch with us for those updates. We hope to get as many people there as possible. But again, just like wanted to thank everybody who was able to make it in person. If you didn't make it in person and you were able to call on the phone, that also had a humongous impact. Another thing that we're going to be doing moving forward is scheduling in-district visits for legislators who are on our target list. So yeah, please stay tuned for those updates. And then I think the last update that I will share is that ACA 4 is actually scheduled to be heard in the Assembly Appropriations Committee tomorrow. However, we don't think it'll be like an official hearing. What will probably happen is it'll just get read really quickly and we'll be told that it'll be put on the suspense file, and then it'll be heard during the suspense hearing, which is going to happen May 19th, I think. I don't know, Shervin, or if anybody knows the suspense hearing date.
I'll pull it up.
Okay, thank you. Excuse me. So by the end of the month, we should know what's going on in the Appropriations Committee. However, I'll just add the caveat that the ACAs don't have to go through the same legislative calendar. So it might be heard before the suspense hearing deadline, and it might not. So again, like just stay tuned for updates. We'll make sure that we let y'all know what's going on. But yeah, round of applause for everybody who helped make the day such an incredible success. But we are moving forward with restoring right to vote to people in prison in California. And Jay, I'll pass it back to you.
Thank you for that. Really appreciate it. So yes, thanks for that wonderful update about ACA 4. And for those who have not, or who were not able to make it and have not seen the video, I suggest that you either tap in with us or go to the legislature website and download the video from the hearing. It was very powerful, to see so many impacted people speaking out loud and proud, showing their support for ACA 4, as well as we had some folks who were like, giving their little tad bits of their experience surviving CDCR, which is not really in step with the rules, but even everybody in the room understood just the gravity, and people were processing their feelings of what they had been through. So it's just very powerful to watch, and I just suggest that folks check out the video. Adriana just dropped the link in the chat, so if you wasn't able to see it, you can just share that moment with us, and it was definitely a step forward. And so thank you for that update, Taina. And with this next portion of the meeting, I will go ahead and give it over to my powerful colleague himself, Shervin, as he gives us some breakdowns of our abolitionist policy platform.
Appreciate you, Jay. No, super excited to have this meeting with you all and talk through, a pretty amazing development here at IJ Action as we put forth and finalize an abolitionist policy platform, really articulating what abolition looks like through a policy lens. Because we're all fighting for abolition in our daily communities and in our daily lives, and this is around really kind of operationalizing what it looks like to achieve abolition through policies and laws through the legislature. And so building on the incredible work that IJ Action and membership did last year, kind of putting forth the vision of what abolition looks like in practice, we've now taken that and turned it into specific policies that act and manifest that vision into action in our daily lives. Because as we all know, abolition covers everything that we touch, from housing to public safety to the environment, indigenous rights, healthcare, and everything in between. And so through that lens is how we develop this policy platform, looking at, what does it look like to actually really achieve public safety in our communities, to really ensure people have every basic need met. And so the main goal with this policy platform, once it's finalized by you all as our members, is to take it to other organizations, take it to legislature, take it to mass media, take it to our community, and say this is our kind of guiding document of when we say we're fighting for abolition, this is what it looks like. We're defining it. All of us as abolitionists are finally defining what it looks like in action. Instead of allowing the opposition and allowing others to define it for us, we're taking back that power in our own hands and defining it for the community. And so we're looking forward to you all taking the time over the next month to review this platform with a fine-tooth comb, go through each of the different policy areas, because within each of them, there are maybe, I think, around an average 8 to 9 different specific policy recommendations that bring forth that overarching vision of, for example, guaranteeing housing as a human right for all, achieving universal healthcare. Kind of what does that look like step by step with specific policy items? That's the way it's designed. And so our fearless leader, Taina, will talk through the process for providing feedback, proposing amendments, and then you all should receive the actual platform itself by this Friday. But if anyone has any kind of burning questions right now, happy to answer them. If not, we'll turn it back over to Taina.
Thank you so much, Shervin. And also just want to shout out our board of directors who started drafting our policy platform over a year ago. And then also shout out to Shervin, who took our very broad and philosophical ideas and hone them down into very clear policy recommendations. So we're very excited to be sharing the draft with you all very soon. And just want to maybe one other thing that I would say is that, those of us who are in this work around abolition, we've had opportunity to be creative and to be imaginative and think about broadly what abolition means to us. But we're hoping that this platform will kind of serve as a roadmap between how do we get to where we are now and our broader vision. What are the specific policies that we can start putting in place now to change that? And also want to name that this is something that is a living document, and every 2 years we will be updating it. As we start winning policies, we can start ticking them off the list and establish what our new policy goals are. So very excited to launch this and very excited to keep the policy vision moving forward. But how are we going to do this? So I'm going to go into our timeline for the launch and the ratification of our platform. So some of y'all who were around for our candidate endorsement process may remember that we wanted to make sure that we had membership buy-in and inclusion in finalizing who the candidates were who we decided to endorse. And we are going to adopt a similar process for the abolitionist policy platform. So what that means is that while we have a draft now that was put together by our board of directors and our staff, it is ultimately going to be our active members in good standing who have the opportunity to weigh in, to submit amendments to our policy platform, and also to vote to ultimately ratify it. And then once it is voted on, ratified, and approved by our full membership, then it will be an official public document that we're going to launch. So here's the timeline for that. So today, May 9th, we are announcing the platform at our general meeting. I think most folks here are probably members already. So you'll go ahead, you'll get a copy of the platform mailed to you by the end of the week. So we're going to put the final touches on it and send it to our members so that you all have the opportunity to review it. And then we're going to call a special meeting on June 6th to have our ratification meeting. So this will be the opportunity for people to propose amendments, to vote on the amendments, and to vote to ratify the full platform. And I'm going to go into detail about that process, and we have plenty of time, if there's questions about that process, because it probably might seem a little bit complicated or technical. And then after we successfully ratify the platform, we are going to be launching the platform Juneteenth weekend. So on Saturday, June 17th, we will have an event called Cultivating Abolition, a launch event. It's actually going to take place here in the San Fernando Valley at actually a reentry home that we partner with in doing our civic engagement workshop. So looking forward to sharing more details about that event as we plan it moving forward. But that'll be Saturday, June 17th. Sorry, I forgot to include the time. It'll be 5 to 7 p.m., but no worries, invitations will be going out soon. So this is the timeline. Now, in terms of the process for ratifying, this is what it's going to look like. So as I mentioned earlier, all members, so whether you're a supportive member or an active member, you will be sent the platform in advance. Active members, however, are going to be the only members who have the chance to propose amendments and vote to ratify the platform at the special ratification meeting on June 6th. And now if you're sitting there wondering like, wait, am I an active member or am I just a supportive member? Jay's gonna send a final list to folks. We've kind of been like trying to keep track of like attendance for committee hearings and the general meetings and everything like that. But in order to be an active member, you will have to be like a member in good standing. So meaning that you have completed your application, done the orientation, up to date on dues if you're paying dues, and signed up for a committee and attended 3 out of 4 meetings. So that includes like the general meetings and the committee meetings. Want to make sure that you're coming to at least 3/4 of all of the meetings. And if you're wondering like why this requirement, it's because like we want people who have like a vested interest in the organization, who have shown that this organization, that this work is like a priority and something that you're truly committed to. You know, the reward for that is that you're able to have a stake in, you know, the decisions that we make as an organization. So this is a rule that we're having in order to maintain the integrity of the process, and hopefully it'll serve as like an encouragement. You know, if this is something that you haven't been able to prioritize more recently, and you know next year when we start doing candidate endorsements again, and you want to make sure you have the ability to vote on those, please do show up to as many meetings as you can. I will add the caveat that there's a couple of members who let us know, hey, I can't come to the meetings, to all the meetings, because I have like this outstanding obligation that I can't get out of, but they've shown up in other ways and have like volunteered their time like outside of the meetings. So for folks who have been able to like still show time or show commitment to the organization and give their time to the organization, they will still be considered active members. And what active members will be able to do is they'll be able to present their amendments, and all active members, staff, and board will be able to vote on them. So what that'll look like is by Friday, you all members, active and supportive, will get to see the platform. So if you're an active member, I mean, I encourage everybody to read it through. It's a pretty long document. I think at this point it's like 40 pages long or something like that. But encourage everybody to read it through. And if there's anything that you think that we should change, like a section that you feel like we should add, or a section that you feel like, you know, needs to be modified, or something else emphasized, you know, in a certain way, then what we're actually going to ask you to do is to draft an amendment, to actually like write out, this is what I think should be added to this, and this is where it should be added. When we have the meeting on June 6th, all members will be invited to join the meeting. So all members, whether you're active or supportive, can come to the June 6th meeting and listen to the discussion, and, you know, participate and ask questions and all of that. However, it will only be the active members, the staff, and the board who will have the ability to submit amendments, to vote on the amendments, and overall vote to ratify the platform. But all members are welcome to join as observers and participate in the process in that way. And then once it's all said and done, once amendments are heard, motioned on, voted on, then the whole document will be presented up for a vote. Once we get a majority vote on that to ratify it, then we will be very excited to launch our finalized abolitionist policy platform, the first of its kind in the state of California, on Juneteenth weekend, Saturday, June 17th. So again, like this is the first of its kind platform, the first time that we're putting forward a process like this. So I'm very much looking forward to having your participation in this. We genuinely hope that people will participate, submit amendments, be part of the conversation on the platform. But also if all the active members look at the platform and they're like, hey, y'all really did your thing, I don't have anything to add, that's great too. And that'll make for a short and fun meeting. But definitely want to create space for people to be able to share their thoughts or propose any changes to the platform. I know that was a lot, so folks, please feel free to raise your hand if you have any questions, or if you feel more comfortable dropping them in the chat, you can go ahead and do that. And I'm happy to answer any questions about the platform overall, about the ratification process, or anything along those lines. Questions going once. Questions going twice. Questions?
If you have a question and you don't know how to use your digital hand, feel free to unmute at this time.
All right. Well, then I think I will go ahead and cede the floor back to you, Jay.
Okay, I take your pass. So again, thanks, Taina, for that wonderful breakdown of the process and ratification, as well as thank you, Shervin, for helping to draw up these documents and doing a lot of research, and for folks having just so much input and buy-in into these issues of these issue areas that we as abolitionists identify as meaningful, powerful, and things that need to be addressed to help better our society as a whole. So with that, of course, being organizers and being movers and shakers, we have some calls to action. It wouldn't be right if we didn't. So that said, we would like for members who are in attendance to please review the policy platform and attend the June 6th ratification meeting. And again, you all will be emailed this platform prior to the end of the week, as well as I will be sending out updates for active members and let folks know who will be able to vote and who will not be able to vote. But again, please just take this as positive feedback and as an opportunity to see how you could be plugged in other ways. And also, we would like for everyone to please attend our Cultivating Abolition event that will be held June 17th from 5 to 7 p.m. in the Central Valley. The more folks that attend, the bigger the turnout, the more grander the event, as well as the more eyes that's on the work that's happening here at IJ Action, and people seeing how we are able to center impacted voices and how we're able to bring abolition to the forefront of our community. So we would like to definitely see members show up to that. If you have any questions, feel free to email me and I will get your question answered, either directly or indirectly. Please show up. It will be in the Los Angeles Valley, so it's San Fernando Valley.
Valley, okay?
Here we go with the valley.
Y'all ain't the only valley out here, so
We are the only
We
valley.
the original.
There ain't no
the
other
OG.
valley.
Central Valley been here. What you mean? Let me stop gangbanging on the call. Let me stop banging on the call.
No, all the valley babies tripping.
You don't want this smoke. The A1A goes hard.
Hey, I'll be listening to this all the time, AD. But anyway, so yes, and then aside from that, all the wonderful, the two wonderful events that's taking place, the ratification, the Cultivating Abolition, which we will have food, drinks, refreshments, and possibly activities for young people, from what I'm hearing. Show up to that. And also please support ACA 4, Assembly Constitutional Amendment 4, which will restore the right to vote for folks who are currently completing their sentences, as everybody here knows, and I see it's going down in the chat. Oh my goodness. But anyway, yes, please, we want folks to show up and show out for these events and support our legislation so that we can give folks re-enfranchising and get rid of this horrible policy that was passed in the 1800s that folks are quoting in the legislature. And also, if you want to, we ask that folks please subscribe to the email list so you can see what's going on at for ACA 4, for updates, for upgrades, for social media toolkits, for calls to action, for things like that, if you could please log on to http cafreethevote.org to get those updates, to get those social media vote pictures and toolkits and visuals. And also please follow Free the Vote ACA4 on social media. Support that page with reposts, with story posts, with comments, with shares, so we can get in that algorithm. And lastly, if you're on this call and you're not a member, someone will drop the link to the membership application in the chat. And we ask that you please fill out that membership application so we can continue to multiply and grow this work and grow this movement and bring more eyes and respect to what we're doing here at IJ Action, to put abolition forward and put the will of the people forward. And with that, we'll go ahead and open the floor again for any questions or comments. Hopefully the Valley people have, simmered down, but I see one hand right here. Go ahead, Stephanie.
Yeah, I just want to make sure I understand correctly. So I know the ACA4 is trying to move it towards the legislature, but I thought there was also plans to put it on the ballot for 2024. Is that correct?
Yeah, so ACA4 is Assembly Constitution Amendment 4. Once it moves through the legislature, it has to go to the Assembly, has to go through the same process in the Senate. And at that point, it will be on the ballot. So it doesn't, I'll let Taina clarify.
Yeah, basically the legislative process is the process to refer it to the ballot. So in California, there's a couple of ways to qualify something for a statewide ballot, one of which is signature collection. We didn't go that route because it's much, much more expensive. And the other route is legislative referral, but you usually need 2/3 to refer it to the ballot. Well, if you're changing the Constitution, you do, which we are. So we need 2/3 vote of the legislature just to qualify it for the ballot. So if we clear these hurdles, that's just step one, everybody. We still gotta win a ballot measure campaign come next year. So this is a long-term effort. Everything that we're doing today is towards that effort. So yeah, anything that you do to like share on social media, like uplift voices of system impacted people, all of that will help us in November of 2024.
Yes, absolutely. And that's such a great question, Stephanie. And that's why, here at IJ Action, that's why we have, this investment for members. And that's why we ask for the involvement, is because, as folks who are advocating for the voices of impacted people and who are, pushing for abolitionists, non-reformist reforms, we don't get the corporate sponsorships, we don't get the big money. So when folks are able to invest at the grassroots level, when you invest your time, when you invest your social media influence, when you invest a reshare, when you invest a post, when you invest a comment, it's so much more meaningful, and also it helps to move that work forward. And that's how we're powered, we're people powered. So that's why we ask for that high level of investment, and that's why we really appreciate folks sacrificing their time and efforts to help these movements transform into things that will be in the history books one day, and see folks re-enfranchised. Any more questions or comments before we give y'all the night back early? Possibly, definitely. Okay, so I see none, hear none.
I was just gonna say, I want to thank you, Jay, for keeping it so professional while we were popping off in the chat with the different valleys being on each other. Well,
I'm kind of in a rock and a hard place because everybody know, I'm from Los Angeles area out of Compton, but my team here has been trying to paint me as a Bakersfield person. So it's just so hard. I have to defend that every time. And I'm just, I'm sickly tired of it. So I just kind of, trying to remain neutral here. But nah, I'm there in heart. I'm in the comments as well.
You're not the worst one though. The worst one's Emiliano, who's from the Valley, but act like he's not from the Valley.
Yeah, true.
I didn't see him put 818 in the chat.
He act like he's from DTLA. Shots fired. Yes. You say DTLA. Look at him, see? But yeah, y'all appreciate everyone. We thank you so much for, folks joining, and y'all can feel free to go ahead and unmute, say your words or encouragement, whatever, Really appreciate everyone here. Lakeview Terrace.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
I was born in Lakeview. All right, y'all. Have a good night.
Good night, everybody.
Bye, everyone. Good night.
Bye,
Bye.
y'all.
Bye.
Good night, everybody.
Hey, what's up, Roberto? Oh, I see you, boy.
What up?
We're still recording.
Oh, yeah, let's talk some shit.